Hello and welcome friends. In this series of lecture, we will look at virtualization and how to set up our lab environment to do different kinds of experiment, be it with shell script or writing a C code on Linux. If you already have a dedicated Linux machine, or you already know how to set up a virtual machines, or you have access to some remote Linux machines in AWS or Azure or in any cloud, you don't need to go through all this process. But in case if you are still interested in knowing about virtualizations and how to set up your systems with respect to VMware workstations or VMware Fusion or VirtualBox, then this tutorial might be for you. Also, if you want to look for specific sections, like if you want to run VirtualBox rather than VMware Fusion on Mac or VMware Workstation on Windows, you can jump to the right sections. I'm covering these sections in a more generic way, so I will cover all the three of that, basically VMware Fusion, VirtualBox and VMware Workstation. Before I go ahead and do the setup and how to do an installation, I would like to go through a quick primer of what is virtualization and why is it needed. Some of you might already be aware of and might be knowing why do we need virtualizations, but to be on same page for all the students, I would like to go through this primer. So without wasting any time, let's go for the definition. What is virtualization? So virtualization basically means that you can run multiple operating system in the same hardware. So usually you will not be able to run more than one operating system without a specific software like virtualizations or hypervisor. You may run multiple operating system using dual boot, like you have an operating system like Windows and on top of that you install Linux in a dual mode. But in that case, what happens if you want to use Linux, you will have to reboot and you can only use Linux. If you want to run Windows again, then again you will have to reboot and you can only use Windows. You cannot access two operating systems from the same physical device simultaneously, and that's where the virtualization comes into picture. So basically virtualizations, with the help of virtualizations, you can have multiple operating system hosted on the same physical machine. What is the hypervisor? Hypervisor are a piece of software for virtualization. So whatever virtualization we are talking about, that's possible only through a specific piece of software called as hypervisor. There are different types of hypervisor and there are different vendors of hypervisor. We will look through that. So the basic functionality of hypervisor is it abstracts your physical resources. Let's suppose you have a hardware machine, maybe Intel Core i7 processor with 8 GB of RAM. So that is being taken by your physical device. Now if you have some other virtual machines you want to dedicate that resource, that's not possible without some hardware sharing software like hypervisor. Now let's suppose you have a CPU with 2 cores or maybe 4 cores and you want to dedicate half of the core for hypervisor or virtual machines. There need to be someone or there need to be some authority which will ensure that the sharing is being done. Those authority or the software which makes this feasible or possible are called as hypervisor. So hypervisor abstracts your physical hardware, and that hardware may be like CPU, RAM, your disk drive, keyboard, any kinds of peripherals, and maybe even like USB sticks, microphones. There are some problems in some of the devices, like microphone may not be shared very properly, but those are like the limitations from the hypervisor software perspective. However, from the definition of hypervisor, those are very much doable, and some software does a better role in emulating those compared to others, but that's just part of a drawback. But in theoretical perspective, hypervisor should be able to share the resources, different resources between a guest and a host device. We will come through a guest and a host machine in a couple of minutes. So let's go through the diagram of how the hypervisor looks like. So without the hypervisor, let's suppose if you don't have this hypervisor platform, then your device or the architecture of your entire platform, including the hardware and the operating system, would look like you will have a physical hardware, and that physical hardware would be controlled by your operating system. So operating system would talk to the physical hardware, and your applications or maybe your shell, those shell will talk to the operating system will talk to the hardware. That's how it works. However, if this being the norms, then the guest machine or the virtual platform will not work. So if you want to have additional operating system, like instead of OS 1 you want to have couple of more like OS 2, operating system 2 and operating system 3, it has to go through some other platform, some other medium, and that medium is a virtualization platform, or this is the hypervisor. This is the hypervisor core. So your operating system talks to the hypervisor, and then the hypervisor talks to the physical hardware. Now this is in strict terms, if you talk in strict terms, this is type 2 hypervisor. We will go through later what is type 1 and type 2, but this is in a nutshell. Someone might argue, okay, this may not be the case for type 1, but this is generic. This is for type 2 now, and I will explain what is type 1 and type 2 in subsequent videos. Some of the use cases, why do we need a hypervisor or virtual machines? Let's suppose you are developing a solutions, maybe you are writing a Flask applications in Python, and you want to test how does it behaves on Linux and how does it behaves on Windows. So you need to have two machines, one Windows and Linux, maybe a physically accessible or maybe over a network. Somehow you need to have access to two different machines. That means more money. It also means you need to have more physical space to keep those physical servers. Having the hypervisor or virtualizations, you can within the same machine, like your MacBook Pro, you can also host a Windows machine and you can also host a Linux machine. So that's where it helps. It also helps in doing some of the productivity work. Like let's suppose you are doing some drawings in Adobe or maybe some other sketchbooks like Autodesk Sketchbook on Mac, and at the same time you need to have access to the Linux. So you can have access to a GUI of a Mac and some of the Linux shell for productivity purpose. And same thing, you need to have a Windows GUI for some purpose, and then you can have a Linux altogether. It also helps in managing OS easily within the same physical hardware. Let's suppose you are a company, and in the company there are different servers. One is a database server, one is a management server with respect to your web applications, one is the shared server for disk drives, and there might be multiple things like that. Now if you are accessing those servers from different physical locations, sometimes it's not that easy to manage, and that's where also hypervisor comes into picture. Now those kind of scenarios comes under type 1 hypervisor. We usually do type 1 hypervisor to host in the same physical machines lot of virtual devices or guest machines. We will look into that. One such example of type 1 hypervisor is VMware ESXi. Please note that VMware ESXi is different from VMware Workstation. VMware Workstation is for desktop environment. However, VMware ESXi is a solution for physical hardware appliance, which the hypervisor directly runs on physical hardware. There is no operating system in between. It's the hypervisor which acts as the operating system and manages the multiple guest OS. There is no separate operating system. That's the ESXi. So ESXi is basically an enterprise solution which has a lot of licensing cost, but we will quickly see a little bit in details of what is ESXi. Then the other use case of malware is the other use case of hypervisor is malware detection. If you are a malware researcher and want to see how a malware behaves, so you might be trying to run a malware to actually see how a malware behaves. Now when you run a malware, it contaminates your system, When I say contaminates your system, let's suppose you have a Windows machine and you're running a malware. The malware might modify your registry, regedit. The malware might modify your startup folders. The malware might add some files, add some loggings. The malware might set up a service which you don't want to run on your machine. Let's suppose you have a dedicated physical hardware on which you are running Windows, and you have your productive work also going on. Your office email is also there, and you have your PPT also running, and so many things you do. You're chatting, Teams, Outlook, everything. And you are a malware researcher and you want to research a Windows malware, Windows P executable file. You want to research on that. If you use the same physical machine to do a research, it might hijack or hack your system. So that's not a feasible environment. What you can do is you can set up a virtual machine for Windows, and inside that Windows you can run a malware detection tool, and when that is done you can refresh the VM. We will look into that, what is refreshing a VM, what is a snapshot, and how we can change the state. So we will go through those in subsequent videos. Now, what is a host and what is a guest machine? The physical machine on which the operating system is installed, that is a host, and the guest is extra machine on operating system which you have installed up top of that. Now let's assume this is my MacBook. Now on my MacBook I have installed VMware Fusion, which is the equivalent of VMware Workstation on Windows. So for Mac it's a separate software called as Fusion, VMware Fusion. So my Mac becomes a host operating system, and inside the VMware Fusion I can install Linux or Windows or maybe CentOS, Fedora, any kind of operating system. Those becomes a guest. So host is like you're a host, and guest is someone comes in your home from outside. Those are a guest. So host is whoever is controlling the operating system, whoever has a direct access to the operating system. How hypervisor works? It depends upon the type of hypervisor and also different vendors of the hypervisor. Some of the vendors are like KVM, Xen, Citrix, VMware, Oracle's VirtualBox. So it depends. Usually what happens is, like in case of a Xen is again an open source hypervisor. It uses a hypercalls similar to what you have system calls for connecting to the kernel. In Linux, from the user space, if you want to the kernel space, you have to do a switch using a system call. System call is a gate or a mechanism using which you switch from user mode to kernel mode. Same thing, the guest operating system sends up a trap, and upon trap the hypercalls are being called based on the trap. That's how Xen works. KVM works little bit differently, but it's almost same. And there are two types of hypervisor which I mentioned earlier. One is type 1 and one is type 2. So we will look into type 1 and type 2 in our subsequent video. Thank you all for watching this video, and I hope to see you in my next video. Have a nice time.